All right. So, hello. What would you like to work on today?
Um, so two things that I've been struggling with,
Hmm.
kind of hand in hand, are the feelings of like lack of drive, purpose, and feelings of like severe like abandonment issues.
Hmm.
Um, and the connection that I'm noticing between the two is that um, for the past, I don't know, for quite a while, but at least the past like 3, 4 months, I've been feeling very depressed, very anxious, feeling like I have some good things in my life that don't take up, you know, all of my life. But like when I'm doing those things, I feel fine. When I'm not doing those things, like I feel like I have no idea what to do with myself. And I feel like I
Hmm.
waste a lot of time. I think it really leads me to have this very low self esteem. And I recently started dating somebody who, like, I really enjoy spending time with them and talking with them and all that. But I feel this overwhelming fear of abandonment that I feel like it's going to shoot me in the foot before I even have a chance to do anything.
Okay. And, so you're feeling this lack of drive when you don't have a lot of things to do, right? So when you're actively doing things, you're okay.
Yeah. So I guess, like, more context, I don't work a traditional 9 to 5. I am a musician. So my hours are a lot more like later in the day. So I have a lot of trouble figuring out what to be spending sort of the normal 9 to 5 hours doing. Um, Obviously, like, there's a lot less people around to be doing things with, and I can fill in some time. Like, I'll go to the gym or I'll go for a walk or something like that. But it does leave me feeling like, I don't know, like I'm kind of wasting a lot of my life, like not feeling any drive towards doing anything.
Hmm. Where do you think, so I'm curious, where do you think this lack of drive is coming from?
I don't know what came first, if it was the depression or the lack of drive, but they definitely feed each other.
Hmm.
It's hard for me to even figure out, like, I almost feel like I don't like know myself. Like, I don't know what I want. I'll sit
Mhm.
here and I'll feel like something's missing, but I have no idea what to fill it with.
Okay.
Um, and I don't really know where to look to find things, I guess.
And are you clinically diagnosed as having a depression?
Um, I don't know if I've ever received like an official diagnosis, no,
Mm.
but I do go, I'm in therapy now, and um, I guess the idea of me being depressed has never been like, oh, well, I don't think that's what this is. Like, it's pretty much been accepted from how I've explained it.
Okay. All right. So when you think that you don't know what you want and you don't know how to learn what you want, as you're thinking that, you get this feeling of like a lack of drive. Is that the right description, do you think?
Yeah, like emptiness, I guess,
Hmm.
is what it feels like,
Hmm.
with a lot of anxiety because I don't want to feel that way.
Yeah.
And
So
so the
I think
longer that I stay in it, the more anxiety kind of comes up with it.
So if you had to pick, just focusing on that thought of, I don't know what I want and I don't know how to know what I want. When you just focus on that thought, what's stronger? Is it more anxiety or is it more emptiness?
Um, I guess more anxiety.
Okay. And so what do you do out of this anxiousness? So I noticed we were when you were describing your situation, um you don't really plan for things. So because you don't know what to do. So lack of planning and what else are you doing out of this place of anxiety?
Um, Like, what am I doing to try to like get out of it, or just like what does it lead me to do?
Yeah, so I think all of those things, right? So basically, when you're feeling happy, maybe you have a smile on your face. That's like an action, right? That's something you do, whether it be conscious or unconscious. When you're feeling sad, I don't know, you might be reaching out for a drink. And when you're feeling kind of giddy, you might want to hit the gym. So when you're really in this zone and this mentality of, oh, I'm feeling really anxious right now because I don't know what I need to do. I don't know what I want to do. How does that manifest into your life? What actions does it cause?
It leads to a lot of negative self-talk.
Mm-hmm.
Like this feeling of like, how the hell do I not know what I want to even do?
Mm.
Like at this point,
Mm-hmm.
and this feeling of like wasting time, wasting like my life away, not pursuing something that really like gets me going. It makes me very tired.
You're tired. Okay.
Yeah, like low energy.
Uh-huh. So if an
And
outside observer just looks at you, how would they be able to tell that you're in this zone of anxiety?
I'm pretty closed off, like body language wise. I kind of feel like I'm like kind of crossing the arms, crossing the legs, kind of turned in towards myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Way less sociable.
Like how you engage others, like how you converse, it becomes less sociable.
Hmm.
Okay. So if you weren't feeling anxious, what do you think you would be doing, but you don't do right now because you're feeling anxious?
Mm.
So, for example, if I'm like feeling really athletic, but I didn't have this like really bad pain in my shoulders, I'd be playing a lot of baseball or something like that. But this pain prevents me. So, what would you like to be doing? But that anxiety is just telling you, no, don't do it.
Um, I really would like to be like just making more friends, more meaningful connections,
Mm-hmm.
meeting people, being out of my house more, and doing some sort of activities. I don't really know what activities, especially like in the winter when it's
Mm-hmm.
not as nice outside, but doing something more, being more engaged with people.
Mm-hmm. Like making more new conversations, making like meeting more people. Is that more or less in line with what you're thinking?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
And anything else that comes into mind when I say like, what is anxiety preventing you from doing?
I think it just makes it really hard for me. Like I try to think of things really logically, but I
Mm-hmm.
think it's so emotionally charged that it like really conflicts with that type of thinking. So
Yeah.
it makes it hard for me. Like I want to think of a logical way out, but that's not exactly like logic alone can't solve it.
Okay. So right now, when you describe your problem to me, you're feeling this really lack of drive in your free time when you don't have anything to do, like you don't have to do at like during the daytime when you're not performing, right? And so that's manifested by you're not really having anything to do. You just end up feeling bad. You're feeling down, and you feel closed off. You act less sociable and such. So, why, in your opinion, why do you think you're tired all the time? Why do you think you're not planning? Why do you think you're doing negative self-talk?
Um, I think for a long time I was just emotionally closed off. I
Mm-hmm.
think I had a few relationships when I was younger that really like did a number on me, and I thought at some point that I had sort of gotten over them. Now I feels more like I kind of stuffed them way down and wasn't feeling them anymore. So I felt better. But really, ever since I started seeing that girl, like the I feel very overwhelmed by a lot of emotions, and thinking back towards like these traumas that I haven't thought about in forever. It's making me realize like how not put to bed they were.
Okay. So you think it's because of all the things that you happened in the past and how you interacted with them?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's more than one thing, but I think that that's like the biggest thing.
Yeah, okay. But now, I'm gonna offer you one thought, right? So when I asked you what would you be doing if you weren't feeling anxious, you said you would be going out more, you would be seeking more activities, and you'd engage in more social, conversations, making new friendships, right? So you would do that if you weren't feeling anxious right now. But what causes this anxiety? This anxiety is caused by the thought that you don't know what to do and you don't know how to know it. So it's less so about your past, it's less so about what happened to you, but by thinking the thought that you don't know what to do and you don't know how to know, that causes the anxiety, which causes you to be less sociable. That anxiety causes you to be closed off. That anxiety makes you tired. But again, that anxiety is caused by your thought that you don't know and you don't know how to know.
Mm.
So the result that thought is creating in your life is you're preventing yourself from knowing what to do because just by occupying that thought, anxiety just is blocking everything.
Right.
Does that feel like it's true for you?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that all makes sense. I think the anxiety tells me that like I'm a very boring person. And so it makes me very anxious, the idea of going out and being social, because it's one thing if I think to myself that I'm an anxious person, but if somebody else confirms it, I don't know, it's like more true, it's more real to me, or it's, I don't know, a missed opportunity.
Yeah. So those are thoughts about relationships and social stuff, but like just dialing it back to your overall day and you're thinking of I don't know what to do and I don't know how. But now we briefly discussed that if we weren't anxious, we'd be doing all these things, right? So
Mm-hmm.
instead of feeling anxious, how would you intentionally like to feel if you could basically go with God's hand and then modify a lot of parameters in your life, like turn a few knobs and press on some, guitar? I don't know what instrument you play, but put some effect, pedals on. And if you could tinker with your life, how would you like to feel instead of anxious?
Like excited, like always looking forward to whatever's next.
Okay, excited.
Part of something,
Part of
some
something.
community.
Uh-huh.
Like I guess when I think of things to do, I think less of the activity. I mean, I'm not just trying to sit there with other people, but in my mind, like what I'm really craving is that sense of community.
Okay.
So if you felt like you're in a sense of, if you feel like you belong, and if you feel like you're in a community, like from that feeling, what would you be able to do?
I think I'd feel a lot better about like making plans and inviting people to them and just trying to find new exciting things to like spend my time doing.
Okay, so you would proactively make new plans, invite people to them, and like actually talk to people to get them to come to your event and such.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like what other actions would you do? Do you think you would do when you feel like you're the sense of community and belonging?
I think I would just be a lot more like talkative.
Uh-huh.
Even if I wasn't around them, like just staying in touch with people more and more.
Okay.
And just being very like invested in those connections.
How about like your fatigue? You felt very tired all the time through anxiety. How does that change?
It'd probably be easier for me to go to sleep at night, wake up at a normal time, like knowing especially if I had stuff planned for the future, like knowing I have something going on gives me enough motivation of like, let's go to bed now and like be well rested for this.
Okay, so you're feeling that if you were able to feel the sense of community, you would be able to do these actions, right? And all these actions are things that you would like potentially do. Now, what do you think? What do you need to think in order to feel that sense of community?
I think that I'm deserving of like the love that community would give. That I'm really like supported and cared for in that.
Okay, so when you think, instead of I don't know what to do, and I don't know how to know, if you were to employ the thought of I'm deserving of this community of love, and I'm just a part of this. I'm just a part of a community, and I'm there. Do you see how your life changes from all the set of actions that you previously did to the ones that you just potentially discussed?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a big difference.
Yeah. Now, does the new thought feel believable to you?
Yes, but there's also, I guess, a lot of like backlash.
Yeah,
like, in a logical sense, yes.
What's the backlash you're feeling right now?
I think I've had a lot of time spent thinking the exact opposite, and I didn't really realize I was, but just a total like lack of self-esteem for a long time, and this feeling of like I'm not sure how to rebuild it.
Okay, so what causes you to? Why do you think you have low self-esteem?
I think it really traces back. I mean, I don't think I ever had like the highest self-esteem, but I think I had like a decent level and was progressing pretty well until right around when college started. And I sort of had some pretty bad relationships, kind of one after another, and they just left me feeling so shitty. It's just stupid. Like, I don't think I was. I mean, I don't think I had like an unhealthy attachment. I think to a lot of the people that I dated, and so when they ended and when they kind of went up, they kind of went to hell pretty fast. It would just leave me feeling like I have no idea who I am. Like I don't know how to pick up the pieces here. I don't know what's left of me when this was gone. And yeah, now it's sort of evolved into this feeling of like that low self-esteem, like whenever I'm just by myself.
So now through our one exercise of thought rebuilding, can you see how it's less about the relationships that happened, but more about how you take in that experience? Because relationships, if breakups are universally damaging, right? If it was the absolute truth that past relationships cause low self-esteem, everyone in the world would be having the same problem as you, right?
Right.
But your problem is very unique to you. So that only means that this is coming from how you are thinking about all the past relationships. And so just like how we realize that, oh, the thought that I unconsciously chose, which is, I don't know, that causes anxiety. But actually, I can voluntarily, at will, choose to believe that I belong. And then that suddenly causes a shift in the feeling. And now the cool thing is you can repeat this for your relationship as well, right? So my past relationships caused me to have low self-esteem because blank. What would you feel in that blank?
Because I spent a lot of time after they were over dwelling on what I could have done differently if it was my fault, and not enough time really rebuilding myself or finding what's next.
So these relationships, they cause you to have a low self-esteem because you dwelled on it a long time, but you didn't spend enough time to rebuild yourself. Is that a right summary?
Yeah.
Okay. So now, what if we change that thought to all the time spent dwelling is part of how I rebuilt myself. So I'm already rebuilt. I just didn't realize it yet. Just like the previous thought exercise, when you believe that, you know what, time's passed, I spent a lot of time ruminating, but actually it seemed like I didn't do anything. But actually, that time spent thinking, that time spent ruminating is actually what I needed. Because, if I didn't need it, then I wouldn't have done it in the first place. And so because I trust myself to make the best decisions, that time was useful. And that time is actually time spent on rebuilding myself. And here I am today. So if you try that thought on, like you're trying on new clothes, how does that feel compared to before?
It feels a little harder to accept, I guess, than the first time we did it. It feels better than the other way around, I guess. But it kind of leaves me with a what now feeling.
Yeah. So we're near the end of our session, but what I want to end with is that today you realized the impact that your thought has on your life. And thoughts are usually unconscious. But that doesn't mean from this point on, you don't have to continue living that way. You can realize, oh, I'm recognizing that I'm feeling really bad right now. Where's that coming from? And is that thought, okay, I'm feeling this way because of this thought. Is this thought true? Is this thought helping me? Do I want to continue having it around my life? Then, oh, okay, it's like a, candy wrapper. Very useful when it's wrapping candy. Really quickly turns into trash after I eat the candy, right? So, okay, you can throw it away. So, and then just like we did today, when you're trying on the new thought, you can be like, no, this doesn't feel believable. That's when you can ask yourself, why doesn't it feel believable? And then you can rinse and repeat. And when you do that one by one, like just, if you tried on the sense of community, and even if you're able to make one phone call today to invite someone, and then the next day you make one more. After a year, you would have made 365 more calls than you would have if you stayed in the same place. Those actions pile up, and that's what ultimately changes your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I want to quickly give you a tool to get out of that mental zone. Get out of when you're feeling icky, when you're feeling anxiety, when you're feeling nervous. All of those, feelings that you usually feel, they're a habit. And when things are a habit, your brain likes to jump to it as fast as it can because it's just an established kind of, oh, I do it before I think about it thing. So whenever you're doing it, whenever you notice that you're in that zone, to get yourself out of it, here's something you can do. So grab a pen, whatever object you had before in your hand. And if you're holding the phone with one hand, it's fine. But what you're going to do is you're going to gaze in the center. And you're going to pass the item from your left to right and left to right. And you don't have to do this for a very long time. Maybe just like 30 seconds or a minute is sufficient. And when you do this, your brain can't hold on to that feeling because that feeling is localized in one part of your brain. By using both sides of the brain and forcing your peripheral vision to process the visual information that keeps going left and right, your brain can't hold on to that feeling. And so it has to let it go. And when that habit is about to go this way, but you put a blocker on it, that's when you can start being resourceful. That's when you can start thinking about, how do I want to feel instead? Because that is a choice you can make.
Okay. That makes sense.
All right. So this concludes our session, and I'm going to end the recording now.
Okay.